The Solari research ship floated in the quiet of deep space from a distance. It looked like a dark silver insect resting on a frozen pond. Inside the ship, everything was calm, cold, and precise. Lights blinked quietly. Machines hummed softly. Scientists in long silver robes moved from one glowing console to another. Chief biologist Trell stood inside the medical chamber, staring at the figure lying in the pod. The figure was not a Solari, nor was it any known species in their data banks. It was a human. The human had been captured during a failed raid on a mining colony. Most of his team had died, but this one survived. The soldiers had brought him back for study. They thought he would be easy to examine. Trell had assumed the same. She was wrong. This is not normal, Trell said, speaking to her assistant, a smaller Solari named Varen. I have never seen anything like this. His body should not function like this. Varen checked the screen. Blood pressure is irregular, but somehow stable. His bone density is 3 times that of our species. His muscle fibers repair faster than our scanners can read. He has overactive hormone surges, but they do not harm him. Trell moved closer to the pod. The human, labeled as Bryn from his uniform, was still unconscious. His chest rose and fell slowly. His heartbeat was strong. Trell noticed small scars all over his skin. Some were new. Some looked years old. All had healed well. We have run 20 tests, Trell said. None of them make sense. His immune system attacks everything, even our nanobots. They melted before they could collect samples from his lungs. Varen frowned. That should not be possible. Nanobots are resistant to organic acids. Not to his, Trell said. Trell pulled up a detailed image of Bryn's cells. They were chaotic, yet somehow organized. Instead of dying under stress, they adapted. The mitochondria doubled under heat. The white blood cells changed shape when exposed to foreign cells. Even the nerves reconnected when damaged. This is not just evolution, Trell said. This is madness shaped into life. What is wrong with this creature's biology? Varen looked nervous. Should we inform the captain? Trell shook her head. Not yet. The military will want to destroy him, or turn him into a weapon. We need to understand him first, quietly. Varen hesitated, then nodded. Trell began another scan. This time, they focused on the brain. Bryn's brain activity was high, too high for someone unconscious. His dreams lit up the scanner like a power surge. One moment, his brain waves were calm. The next, they spiked like he was fighting something in his sleep. What is he dreaming about? Varen asked. I do not know, Trell replied. But it is intense. Suddenly, Bryn's arm twitched. A moment later, his fingers moved. Trell backed up. He was waking up earlier than expected. The sedative should have lasted another 3 hours. Sedation levels dropping. Varen said quickly, pulse rising. Eyes moving. He's waking. Restrain him. Trell ordered. Metal cuffs locked his arms and legs to the pod. Bryn's eyes opened slowly. They were gray and clear. He looked around. For a moment, he seemed confused. Then his eyes locked onto Trell. There was no panic in his face, only calm. Sharp focus. He pulled on the restraints gently, then harder. His muscles flexed. The cuffs held for now. Trell spoke through the translator. You are safe. Do not be afraid. We are scientists. We only want to learn. Bryn did not reply. He looked around the room. Then he looked at his own body. Sensors were attached to his chest and arms. A needle was stuck in his hand. He did not. Like that, he is assessing the room, Varen whispered. Of course he is, Trell said. He is not a beast. He is a soldier. Bryn took a deep breath. Then he exhaled slowly. His heartbeat slowed. His body relaxed, but Trell could tell it was not real. He was waiting, watching, calculating. Begin the next test, Trell said. Varen pressed a button. A soft mist filled the pod. It carried a synthetic virus designed to measure immune response. In most species, the virus caused a minor fever. In weaker ones, it caused seizures. Trell wanted to see how fast Bryn's body reacted. The results came fast. Bryn's temperature rose within seconds. His heart rate jumped. White blood cell count Spiked so high the computer gave an error. Then, without warning, the virus began to change. It mutated inside Bryn's body. Within minutes, it became toxic to Zolari's cells. Stop the test. Trell shouted. The mist cleared. Bryn coughed once, then stopped. His temperature dropped. His vitals returned to normal. The virus was gone. Destroyed. Or changed. Varen backed away from the console. This is dangerous. He is dangerous. That virus was lab-made. Controlled. It should not evolve inside a host. Trell stared at the screen. The virus strain now registered as hostile to Zolari DNA. If it escaped, it could wipe out their kind. We need to seal this lab, Trell said. And we need to find out how his body did that. Immediately, Bryn looked at her again. His expression had not changed, but Trell saw it now. He was not just surviving. He was learning, watching them as much as they watched him. This is not just a subject, Trell said quietly. This is a warning. Human biology is not broken. It is something else, something we are not ready for. Varen asked in a quiet voice. Then what do we do now? Trell looked at Bryn, who had just smiled, a small, slow smile. Not friendly, not angry, just knowing. She took a deep breath. We study, carefully, and we make sure the rest of the crew never finds out what he can do. The medical lab stayed under lockdown. Red lights blinked slowly on the ceiling. The air was cool and dry. Chief Biologist Trell stood in front of a large screen, watching the latest report from the scan team. Bryn, the human subject, was still in the containment pod. His body was calm now, but his last reaction had shocked the entire team. Trell crossed her arms as the screen displayed the results of the virus test. The virus had changed shape inside Bryn's bloodstream. Not only had he destroyed it, but he had also changed it into something that could kill Zolari's cells. Has the virus spread? Trell asked. No, said Varen, her assistant. It was contained in the pod. Filters remove all airborne particles. We ran a second scan to be sure. The air is clean. Trell nodded but did not relax. She had worked with hundreds of species, many from war zones. Some were strong, some were fast. Others had clever tricks. But this human was different. He was not just surviving. He was evolving. Inside the pod, Bryn was awake. His eyes were open. He watched every movement outside the glass. His breathing was steady. His heart rate was normal. But his mind was alert. Trell could feel it. She pressed a button on the console. A soft voice spoke through the translator. Do you understand us? Bryn tilted his head slightly. He did not answer. He blinked once, then looked directly at Trell. We are not here to harm you. The voice said, we are scientists. We study biology. We need to understand how your body works. Still no answer. Trell sighed. Try the next phase, she said to Varen. Varen brought up the next test. This one is designed to measure stress response. We will introduce small amounts of pressure to the nervous system. Nothing harmful. Trell nodded. Begin. Inside the pod, small sensors sent signals to Bryn's body. It was a mild test. A soft electric current touched a few nerves in his arm and chest. It should have caused discomfort, maybe a little pain. But Bryn didn't move. Pain threshold is not rising, Varen said. Try level 2. The current increased. Bryn twitched slightly, but he stayed calm. He closed his eyes and breathed slowly. His brain activity rose for a moment, then settled. Trell leaned closer. He is controlling it. He knows what we are doing. Varen looked worried. He should be reacting. These signals would make any normal subject pull away. He is not normal, Trell said. She stared at the screen. Bryn's nervous system was showing signs of adaptation. The nerves had started blocking the pain signals. It was like his body was learning in real time how to shut the pain off. Try level 3, Trell said. Varen hesitated. That's the last safe level. Do it? The current hit Bryn's side. His muscles tightened. His body arched slightly. For 1 second, his heart rate jumped. Then it dropped again. He opened his eyes and looked straight at the camera. He had felt it, but now he was calm again. Varen stepped back. That level causes pain even to armored species. But he is awake, he is alert, and he is still in control. Then something unexpected happened. Bryn raised his arm. The restraints should have stopped him, but they didn't. One of the metal cuffs bent, not much, but enough to make a sound. Trell stared in disbelief. That metal is reinforced. Bryn looked at the cuff. He tested it again. It groaned under pressure. He smiled just a little. He is getting stronger, Varen whispered. No, Trell said. He was always strong. He is just showing it now. Alarms began to beep on the side panel. Bryn's muscles were increasing mass. His hormone levels were rising, but not in panic. His body was adjusting itself. We have to stop the test, Varen said. Trell hit the emergency shutdown. The sensors powered down. The pod lights dimmed. But Bryn was still awake, and now he was breathing deeper. His eyes watched every button they pressed. Trell turned away from the pod. We are not testing him. He is testing us. Varen swallowed hard. What should we do now? Trell thought for a moment. We analyze the samples we already have. Stop live tests. Watch him. But do not touch. He is too unpredictable. In the next room, behind a wall of glass, the head of security stood with his arms crossed. Officer Marr was not a scientist. He was a soldier. He had been watching the whole time. He stepped into the lab. I saw the pod readings. He said, "This creature is dangerous." He is not a creature, Trell said firmly. He is a living system we do not understand. Then we should end the risk before it becomes worse. Marr replied, he already broke one restraint. Next time, he may break the pod. Trell looked through the glass at Bryn. He had returned to resting. But she knew better. He was waiting. We are responsible for this, she said. If we harm him now, others will follow. We must learn, not fear. Marr shook his head. If he escapes, you won't have time to learn anything. He turned and walked out. Varen looked at Trell. What if the officer is right? Trell didn't answer. She opened a new data file and began writing. Each line was filled with notes. Immune response, nerve control, bone strength, muscle repair, brain adaptation. Every system in Bryn's body seemed to improve when stressed. It was not natural. It was not stable. It was more like a storm hidden inside flesh. Maybe this is what humans are, Trell said quietly. Not the strongest, not the fastest, but always changing, always adapting. Varen looked at her notes, like a virus that learns. Trell closed the file. No, not like a virus, like a species that refuses to die. Behind the glass, Bryn turned his head. He was watching them again, his face calm, his mind alert. The tests were over, but the real challenge had just begun. The lights in the lab dimmed slightly as the energy system moved into night cycle. Most of the crew on the Zolari ship rested during this time. The corridors became quiet. Only a few guards and scientists remained awake. But inside the medical chamber, Chief Biologist Trell stayed busy. Her eyes were tired, but her mind was alert. She sat alone at her desk, reading over the latest reports. The scans, the blood tests, the reaction charts, every result pointed to one strange truth. Human biology did not follow the rules. Trell looked at the sleeping figure in the containment pod. Bryn was still inside, but the pod restraints had been replaced. Stronger cuffs made from a new alloy now held his arms and legs. Small red lights on the floor kept track of every movement he made. Bryn's breathing was steady. His body looked calm, but Trell knew it was only the surface, deep inside. His cells were still reacting, still adapting. His immune system was in a state of quiet readiness. His brain was still active, even in sleep. She pressed a button and opened a secure message to her assistant. Trell, begin preparation for the final threshold test. Do not inform the captain. Keep all data private. A few minutes later, Varen entered the lab holding a small case. Inside were the tools for the next phase. Trell took a breath. This test will not harm him, she said, more to herself than to Varen. We only need to see how far his body will go before it breaks. Varen looked unsure. And if it doesn't break? Trell didn't answer. They activated the pod. Bryn's eyes opened. He blinked slowly, then looked around. When he saw Trell, He gave a small nod. She was surprised. It almost looked like a greeting. "We are running a final scan," Trell said through the translator. "You will feel some pressure. Try to remain calm." Bryn didn't speak. He only stared. The test began. Signals were sent through his nervous system. They were different from the last test. This time, they started deep in the spine and moved out through the arms and legs. They were not just pain signals. They were designed to measure the limit of nerve strength. Bryn twitched as the first wave hit. His muscles tightened. His fingers curled. His heartbeat rose but stayed within safe limits. Varen watched the numbers, still stable, increased level. The signals grew stronger. Bryn gritted his teeth. His body pushed against the cuffs. His eyes closed for a second, then opened again. His breathing became deeper. "His nerves are adapting again," Varen said. "They're rerouting the signals." Trell was both amazed and concerned. That should not be possible. Nerves do not change direction like that, but Bryn's were doing just that. His brain was creating new pathways to control the pain. Instead of shutting down, it was building a new system inside itself. The pod began to beep. One of the metal cuffs bent slightly, not from accident, but from force. "Stop the signal," Trell said. Varen hit the shutdown. The energy flow stopped. The pod lights returned to normal. But Bryn did not relax. He pulled his arm again. This time, the cuff made a louder sound. The metal groaned, then cracked. A small piece of the edge broke off. Bryn looked at it calmly. Alarms started to flash. Red lights filled the lab. "He's breaking the restraints," Varen said in panic. Trell ran to the control panel and hit the full lockdown. Gas filled the pod, meant to calm his body and slow his brain. Bryn coughed once, then closed his eyes. The alarms stopped. The lights turned blue. The pod returned to silence. Trell stared at the broken cuff. It was still warm from the pressure. She reached out and picked up the piece of metal that had snapped. It was sharp on one side, smooth on the other. "He could have escaped just now," she said softly. "But he didn't." Varen looked confused. "Then why did he do it?" "He wanted us to see," Trell said. "He wanted to show us what he could do." She turned to the data screen. Every part of Bryn's body had reacted with control. He did not panic. He did not scream. He chose when to resist and when to stop. That was not instinct. That was thought. "He is not just surviving the pain," Trell said. "He is learning how to use it." At that moment, the door to the lab opened. Officer Marr stepped in with 2 guards. His eyes moved from the pod to the broken cuff. "I warned you this would happen," Marr said. "He is too dangerous." "He didn't attack," Trell replied. "He responded." "There's a difference." Marr ignored her and stepped toward the pod. "Restrain him with plasma bands, triple layer. I want this human locked down before he tears the ship apart." "You will not touch him," Trell said firmly. Marr turned. "You don't give orders here, biologist." "No," she said. "But if you interfere, I will report your actions to the Galactic Council. This is a protected study. Your rules end at that door." Marr stared at her. He looked like he wanted to argue, but then he turned and left. The guards followed. Varen let out a slow breath. That was close. Trell walked to the pod and looked at Bryn again. His eyes were closed, but his body was still awake. She could see it in the way his fingers moved, just a little. "You are not a monster," she said quietly. "You are a challenge, one we were not ready for." She picked up her data tablet and started writing her next report. Title: Nerve Control and Muscle Feedback in Human Subjects. Case Study Bryn. She paused and added one more line. Subject is no longer just a study. He is a message from a species that refuses to be broken. The Zolari ship Zarvenix was quiet as it moved through deep space. Most of the crew slept, and the carters were nearly empty. But inside the medical chamber, silent tension filled the air. Chief Biologist Trell sat at her desk, her eyes locked. On the monitor, she was tired, but she refused to leave. Bryn had not moved since the last test. His eyes stayed shut. His body remained still. But Trell knew better. He was waiting. Varen entered the lab with a data pad. His muscle structure is still changing, even in rest. There is something growing in his chest muscle, a new fiber we haven't seen before. Trell looked up, new muscle forming without movement. Yes, Varen said, it seems his body builds strength. Even while sleeping, it reacts to pain and adapts. Now it prepares before danger comes. Trell stood. She walked slowly toward the containment pod. Bryn lay inside, his face calm. But his fingers twitched slightly. She leaned forward. Can you hear me? Bryn opened his eyes. He stared at her with no fear. Trell stepped back. You are learning about us, she said through the translator. Just as we are learning about you. Bryn did not speak. He blinked once, then looked away. Trell turned to Varen. Prepare a small food dose. Let us see how he reacts to our basic nutrition. Varen left the room. As soon as he stepped out, something changed. The lights flickered. A short burst of static echoed through the ceiling. Trell turned back to the pod. Bryn had sat up. His arms were no longer restrained. One cuff was hanging open. The lock had been broken from inside. Trell hit the alarm. Security to Lab 12. Subject is loose. Before the alarm could finish, Bryn stood. He ripped the wires from his arms and stepped out of the pod. The floor sensors blinked in warning. Gas hissed from the vents, but Bryn held his breath and moved quickly. Trell backed away as the door slid open. Bryn didn't run toward her. He turned and rushed into the hallway, disappearing from sight. By the time the guards arrived, the corridor was empty. Officer Marr slammed his fist on the control desk. I warned you. I told you he would break out. Trell stayed calm. He did not harm anyone. He escaped, but with care. He avoided direct attack. Marr paced the room. He's hiding now. But if he learns the layout of the ship, he could reach the engines or weapons core. He will not do that, Trell replied. He is not here to destroy. He wants freedom. Freedom is a danger, Marr snapped. I am locking down every section. He will be caught. Trell watched the monitors as the ship entered alert mode. Doors sealed. Lights turned red. Drones began scanning each hallway. But Bryn was already gone from the cameras. Deep inside the ship, Bryn moved through a narrow vent. His body was thin enough to slide through the tight space. His fingers gripped the metal edges without pain. He had memorized the map from the screens in the lab. He knew where he was going. He dropped into a storage room and opened a crate. Inside were metal tools. He picked one and twisted it into a sharp edge. It would not last long, but it was enough. He found a panel and ate from an emergency ration pack inside. It tasted strange, but his body handled it. His stomach accepted the foreign food. His cells broke it down. Energy returned quickly. He heard footsteps. He climbed back into the vents. Varen stood beside Trell in the command bay. We found signs of him near the engine deck. He used a tool to open 3 hatches. He's using the ship against us, Trell said. He is not lost. He is choosing every step. Officer Marr entered with the drone controllers. We have placed sensors in all air ducts. If he moves again, we will find him. Trell watched the screen. Do not corner him. If he feels trapped, he may react without control. He already broke through reinforced metal, Marr said. Next, it will be our bones. Varen whispered. What if he reaches the escape pods? Trell turned quickly. Then we lose him. And no one in the galaxy will believe what we found here, Bryn. Crouched in the shadows near a cooling system, he listened to the hum of machines. Then he moved again. He had no weapon, no armor. But he had something else: speed, memory, control. He dropped behind a drone and pulled its core free. The machine sparked and fell. He used parts from the drone to build a new tool. It sent out a false signal, showing his location in a different hallway. Guards rushed away from his path. He entered the hydro lab. Plants from 50 planets grew in large tanks. The air was warm and full of moisture. Bryn moved to a console and pressed buttons at random. Water levels changed. Lights flickered. He stepped behind a row of vines and waited. Trell watched the camera feed as a sensor tripped in the hydro lab. She rushed there alone. When the doors opened, she stepped inside slowly to Bryn. She called through the translator. I know you are here. Silence. I did not come to hurt you, she said. I came to speak. from behind the vines. Bryn stepped forward. His body was wet with mist. A broken piece of metal was in his hand. But he did not raise it. You are not like others, Trell said. You did not kill. You escaped. Why? Bryn looked at her. His voice came slowly through the translator. I don't trust cages. Trell nodded. I understand. But if you leave now, they will hunt you. Other ships, other races. You must choose carefully. Bryn looked at the plants. His hand touched a glowing leaf. Then he turned to her again. I didn't come here to fight, he said. I just want to go home. Trell looked at his face. It was calm, not angry, not afraid. She lowered her head. I can help you, she said. But you must help me too. Let me study you, just a little longer. In return, I will give you a way out. Bryn didn't answer at first. Then he placed the metal piece on the table and stepped back. Trell smiled, just a little. The hydro lab was quiet except for the soft hum of water pumps and the gentle rustling of alien plants. The air was warm and humid, heavy with the scent of foreign leaves and damp earth. Chief Biologist Trell sat on a metal bench, watching Bryn. Carefully, the human stood a few feet away, arms crossed, silent and still. Neither spoke for a long moment. Outside, the Solari ship Zarvenix continued its steady course through the cold blackness of space. Inside, two very different minds faced off in a battle of trust and understanding. Trell broke the silence first. You are far from home, she said softly, her voice steady. We captured you because we feared what you could do. But I have come to see that you are not just dangerous. You are different. Bryn's gray eyes locked onto hers. Different is a word humans use for what others don't understand. He replied through the translator. His voice was calm but carried a quiet strength. Trell nodded slowly. Yes, you survive things no other species could. Your body adapts, changes, and grows stronger when faced with danger. It frightens many of us, but I want to learn. Not to use you as a weapon, to understand you. Bryn looked away for a moment. He touched the leaf gently, feeling its texture. You say you want to understand me, but how can I trust you? Your people captured me, locked me in cages, tested me like I was an animal. Trell's expression softened. I know, and I am sorry. We made mistakes, but not all of us want to hurt you. Some of us want to help. Bryn's gaze returned to her. Help. Why? Trell leaned forward. Because if we can understand your biology, we can learn how to protect more lives. Your strength could help us fight disease, survive harsh environments, even heal injuries we thought impossible. Bryn smiled faintly. You speak of healing. But what if others see me only as a tool, a weapon to control? Trell's smile faded. That is why I want your trust. If you help me, I can stop that. I can protect you. The silence stretched again. Then Bryn took a step closer. If I help you, what will happen to me? You will be free, Trell said, her eyes honest. I promise. Bryn studied her face. Then, slowly, he nodded. At that moment, the ship shook. Lights flickered. An alert flashed on Trell's console. Asteroid field ahead. Varen's voice crackled over the intercom. The Zarvenix will need to adjust course. Trell stood quickly. We have little time. If the ship is damaged, your freedom could be at risk. Bryn followed her to the control room. The walls vibrated as the ship changed direction. Outside the thick windows, asteroids drifted dangerously close. Trell worked alongside the crew. She could see Bryn watching every movement. His mind was sharp, absorbing everything. Suddenly, alarms blared. A small asteroid hit the outer hull. The ship shook hard. Sparks flew from damaged panels. Brace for impact, the captain shouted. Bryn moved without hesitation. He helped a fallen technician to his feet. He guided others to safety. His body was quick, strong, and steady. Trell watched in awe. Your body is built for this, she whispered. You survive where others fail. After the storm passed, the crew checked the damage. The ship had a few broken systems but was still intact. The captain approached Trell and Bryn. You are both brave, he said. Bryn, you have earned our respect today. Bryn nodded but did not smile. I am here to go home. Trell placed a hand on Bryn's shoulder. And you will. But first, we have much to learn from each other. Bryn looked up at her. Then we begin. The Zolari ship Zarvenix drifted slowly through space, the soft hum of its engines filling the quiet halls. Chief Biologist Trell sat in the research chamber, a look of worry on her face. Bryn, the human, stood nearby, his arms folded and eyes watching everything around him. Trell opened a secure file on her console. The data inside shocked her. Secret plans, hidden from most of the crew. The military leaders had been studying human biology in ways she never agreed with. They wanted to clone human traits, the strength, the immune system, the rapid healing, to create weapons. Machines that could be controlled but powerful beyond belief. She looked at Bryn. I did not want you to know this, she said softly, but they have been using your biology for dangerous work, without your permission. Bryn's eyes darkened. They want to use me like a tool, a weapon. I will not allow that. Trell nodded. Neither will I. That is why I want to make a choice, together. Bryn stared at her, silent. After a long pause, he spoke. What do you propose? We stop them, Trell said. I will help you get home. But first, we must expose their plans. Show the Galactic Council what they are doing. If we succeed, no one will use human biology as a weapon again. Bryn looked doubtful. How can I trust you? You already helped me survive the storm. Trell reminded him. I want to keep that promise. But I cannot do this alone. Bryn studied her for a moment. Then he nodded. I will stand with you. Trell smiled faintly. Then we begin tonight. Later that night, the ship was dark except for the soft glow of emergency lights. Trell and Bryn met in the research chamber. Trell handed Bryn a small device. This will let you access the ship's records, she explained. Use it carefully. Bryn took the device and inserted it into his arm. The metal glowed softly as it connected to his nervous system. He closed his eyes, and data began flowing into his mind. Minutes passed. Bryn's face grew serious. There's a hidden lab below deck. They keep cloning samples there, and records of experiments on other species, too. Trell frowned. We must destroy it. Bryn nodded, and send the proof to the council. Together, they planned their next move. They would sneak into the restricted area, avoid security, and disable the lab. The risk was high, but the reward was freedom for Bryn and all humans. As the ship moved through the darkness, Trell and Bryn moved quietly through corridors. The air was tense. Every shadow felt like a threat. Sensors and cameras lined them. Halls. Trell kept checking the data device. Security patrols change every 30 minutes. She whispered, We have 15 minutes before the next round. Bryn's eyes scanned the path. His body was ready for whatever came. Let's move. They slipped through the narrow passageways. Bryn's body adapted to the ship's low gravity. His muscles tightened without effort. His senses grew sharper. Suddenly, a guard appeared ahead, blocking their path. The man raised his weapon. Trell stepped forward. We are authorized, she said, showing her ID. The guard looked suspicious. Show clearance. Before Trell could react, Bryn stepped beside her. He stared at the guard with calm eyes. The man lowered his weapon, unsure what to do. We only want to stop the dangerous work, Bryn said quietly. We mean no harm. The guard hesitated, then nodded and stepped aside. In the hidden lab, rows of tanks held strange creatures. Some were alive, others frozen in suspended animation. The air smelled of chemicals and cold metal. Trell and Bryn moved to the central control panel. Bryn connected his device and began downloading data. Suddenly, alarms blared, red lights flashed. The ship's security system had detected the breach. Time to go, Trell said urgently. They grabbed the data and ran. Guards poured into the hall. Bryn moved fast. He used his strength to block one attacker and pushed past another. Trell kept the data safe. They reached the service lift and sped down to the lower deck. The alarms echoed behind them. Once in the shadows, Trell looked at Bryn. We did it. Bryn nodded, breathing hard. Now the truth will be known. The next day, encrypted messages reached the Galactic Council, the hidden lab, the illegal cloning, the secret experiments. Council members were shocked. They called for an immediate investigation. Orders came to stop all military research on humans. Trell and Bryn watched the news reports together. Humans were now protected. The council declared their biology too unpredictable and powerful to be used as weapons. Bryn smiled. We made a difference, Trell nodded, and this is only the beginning. The Galactic Council chamber was filled with voices. Leaders from many species debated the future of human biology. Trell stood quietly beside Bryn. Watching the scene, it was the first time humans had been talked about openly by the galaxies. Most powerful minds. Bryn's gray eyes scanned the room. He was calm but alert. This was the moment he had waited for, the chance to change how humans were seen forever. The council leaders spoke clearly. After reviewing the evidence, we recognize that human biology is unique. It adapts quickly, heals faster, and survives situations others cannot. This power must not be exploited for war or control. Murmurs of agreement filled the hall. Trell stepped forward. Humans are not just survivors. They are teachers. Their biology shows us the strength of change, the power of hope. One council member, a tall blue-skinned alien, asked, "But how can we trust humans after the tests? Are they safe to live among us?" Bryn answered calmly, "Humans have flaws, like any species. But they also have compassion, creativity, and a will to protect life. My biology is not a weapon. It is a gift, one to be shared, not feared." The room grew quiet. For the first time, humans were not seen as a threat but as a partner. After the meeting, Trell and Bryn walked through the council halls. The mood was different. Friendly faces nodded at them. Invitations were offered to speak, to teach, to join. "This is a new start," Trell said softly. Bryn smiled. "A new beginning for humans and for the galaxy." Back on the Zarvenix, the atmosphere had changed too. The crew treated Bryn with respect, no longer a prisoner. He walked freely and shared stories of Earth, of human struggles and hopes. He helped the scientists understand human biology better. Every day, new discoveries amazed the crew. His cells repaired damage faster than any technology could. His immune system fought off diseases they had never seen. His nervous system could learn and adapt in real time. Trell worked closely with him. They planned missions to share human knowledge with other species, to teach survival, healing, and adaptation. "We have much to learn from humans," Trell said during one meeting. "Not just biology, but spirit." Bryn nodded. "Humans survive not because they are perfect, but because they never give up." One day, while observing plants in the Hydro Lab, Bryn asked Trell, "Will I ever return home?" Trell looked at the stars outside. "Soon. We will find a way." Bryn smiled. "I hope Earth is ready for what I bring." Trell smiled back. "Earth will be stronger because of you." The galaxy had changed. Fear of humans was replaced by curiosity. Humans were no longer seen as weak or strange but as powerful allies. And Bryn, he was no longer just a subject or a prisoner. He was a bridge between species, between worlds, between past and future. The story of the human who challenged the galaxy was just beginning. But one thing was clear: when biology and spirit combine, no force can hold back the strength of humanity.